Okay, so you plan to purchase a vehicle. However, you're worried about your credit issues. Bad things happen to good people all the time. There's a lot of programs out there provided to you for credit issues. Do not be afraid that you cannot purchase a car because you've had credit problems. One of the largest markets for the dealership right now is to help people reestablish their credit. There's a lot of lenders out there that are geared towards people that have had credit problems. Generally, these lenders are provided by the dealership. Now, generally, if you have credit issues, it depends upon the severity of your credit based on what you can get approved for. But it doesn't hurt to try. If you need a vehicle, it is better if you can try to get to a dealership you want to go with a lender that reports to the credit bureau. One of the major things that you're trying to do if you've had credit issues is you need to reestablish your credit. An auto loan can do that for you quickly. One of the things that I could tell you as a person who's been in the finance industry, you can try to reestablish your credit cards. You reestablish your credit through credit cards. But one of the things that can reestablish your credit better than anything is an auto loan if you can get qualified for one. But don't fret on your credit history. Like I said, the dealership has lots of programs available for people that have had credit history. What they're looking for with credit problems is, number one, employment stability. They would want to see a minimum of a 3-year job history, generally. If you've been off work for 6 months and then you just started your job for 3 months, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to get financing. They're looking for stability to pay the note, which would be your employment. They're looking for the ability. They're looking to make sure that you can afford that car payment. And the next thing that they're looking for is the value of the vehicle that you're trying to purchase. So when you try to get refinancing and you've had credit issues, the number one advice that I give to you is you want to go to certain dealerships that specify with people with credit issues. Some dealerships versus others are more qualified to deal with people with credit issues. If you reach a dealership or a department within the dealership, which is called the Special Finance Department, these finance people are geared to work with people that have had credit issues. They're more familiar with the programs of people with a credit issue. Those are the people that you want to deal with because you won't go through so much frustration. But if you go to, say, a small dealership that is more inclined to dealing with preferred credit, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you and a lot more frustrating for you to get the auto loan purchase that you're looking for. So, how do you know if somebody's specialized in credit issues? The number one key that I have for you is to look in your papers, look in the advertisements to where it says special financing, we finance you. These people are generally finance managers that the dealership has set out advertising to get a hold of you, the people with the credit issues. Generally, if they have what's called a special finance department, and generally it's the larger dealerships, they're used to dealing with your type of credit profile. They've seen everything. They know the lenders, they know the programs, which they're keyed into the area that you need to be in. If you have a credit issue, it's much easier for you to deal with these people specifically instead of just walking onto a car lot and saying, and going through the whole process of picking out a car with the salesperson and then, filling out the credit application only to be turned down because they're not qualified in that key area. I highly recommend that you look for the advertisements where it says, we will finance you, reestablish credit, and they have generally a name besides that advertisement. The names of those people are the people that you want to directly deal with, because the truth is they're dealing with people with credit issues all the time, and they're into that area. They can help you more precisely without as much frustration on your end. So prior to going to the dealership, call these people. Generally, they will do an application over the phone with you, give you an idea of what you can or cannot qualify for at that time. They will want probably to see your pay stub. They probably will want to know how long you've been on your job, how much you make per month. All of this stuff plays a key factor into what lending programs are out there that you qualify for. However, if you go to the right people from the beginning, it will save you a lot of frustration. Okay, so now we've established that we've told you who to contact first. So what is the next process? Well, basically, generally what will happen is they will either make an appointment for you to come in, or they'll pre-qualify you over the phone with a credit app and kind of give you an idea whether they can help you or whether they cannot. Now, these special finance people are salespeople, so they are in it to make the most money that they can on the purchase. However, generally, if you have credit issues, the programs only allow them to finance so much on the vehicle. And based on your credit profile, there kind of are key factors that kind of protect you in some way, sometimes, in order to get into the financing. However, just because you have credit issues and they do tell you that you qualify for a car, doesn't mean that you have to pay the most or the figure that they tell you that you have to pay on this vehicle. You still want to do your research. I still recommend that you take time. You can get pre-qualified by the special finance manager. You can go take a look at the options of what they state you can qualify for. However, before you do purchase this vehicle, you still want to go to kellybluebook.com, kbb.com, and check the values. Make sure you're not paying too much for this vehicle, because I will tell you, most of your special finance managers are going to tell you this. Number one, most likely because of your credit profile, you are going to pay more interest rate, obviously, than somebody that has preferred credit. Here's the good news. When you do finance this vehicle, generally it's going to help reestablish your credit if you make the payments on time. Now, that is the key factor. You cannot go over 30 days late on your payments, because the whole point is we want to get you up to a better standing of credit. So if you do decide to make a purchase, make sure that you make your payments on time. Do automatic withdrawals. Excellent. You don't have to worry about mailing out the bills. It automatically comes out of your checking account at all times. Now, one of the things that I want to make sure that you understand is that you may have to pay a higher interest rate because of your credit profile. Now, if you make your payments on time and if you purchase the vehicle at a decent price, there is a possibility that you could possibly refinance this vehicle in a year to two and maybe go over to a credit union at a lot lower interest rate. But one of the things that you have to make sure of is that you get the vehicle for the right purchase price, or this will not be possible for you. Because any lending institution that finances you, they go off the value of the car. So say that you have a credit issue, you go to a special finance manager, they give you a car at 18%, and they tell you, yes, it's at 18%, it's a high rate, but it's based on your credit, which is most likely true, okay? Now, the other thing is, they will probably most likely tell you, now you can reestablish your credit and you can try to refinance this vehicle within a year or two. That sounds great, and it is all fine and dandy, and it most likely could be true. However, one of the things that you have to keep in mind when you go to try to refinance this vehicle is that how much the vehicle is going to be worth versus how much you owe at the end of that year or 2 years when you try to refinance it. If you owe more than what the vehicle is worth, it's not going to be easy for you to refinance that vehicle, because you may owe too much money on that vehicle where the bank will not refinance it. So it's very important for you to make sure that you negotiate the best deal. Now, the finance people, the special finance people, even though you have credit issues, they still have a number of quotas that they need to fill, and every car deal still counts for them. So once they get you pre-qualified for the car, then you can still negotiate the best deal. Just because you have credit issues doesn't mean you have to pay a fortune for the vehicle. Still do your research, still negotiate. Work with the special finance manager. Tell them what you pay. It may take you a couple hours to negotiate the deal, but stay strong. They still want to sell a unit. Whether they're making 500 to 2,000, they still want that unit. So stay strong and do your research, and they'll still want to sell you the car.